Well, what's up, everybody? It's the plant-based nutritionista. Welcome back to Fame. I'm so excited. Today, we're going to be talking about reading food labels. But before we get there, let's do a quick reminder that the Food as Medicine workshop everyday course is alive. It's instructor-led, i.e., me. And thank you for joining this pilot where I'm actually testing out the lectures to get your feedback to make it better for the actual cohort. That's going to be starting in September. So if you like what you see from this demo, I invite you to register for the workshop. The workshop registration opens on July 1, which is right around the corner. We would love to have you. So I like to start all of my sessions just reminding us of this quote from Anne Wigmore. The food you eat can be either the safest and most powerful form of medicine or the slowest form of poison. And what better way to drive this point home than to talk about reading food labels? And so this is a virtual food as medicine course. And so I'm going to show you what our learning objectives are for today. And then we're going to dive right into our time together. I'm also going to ask you to share your screen or hold up your food items as we go through this today and talk to me about what's on that label. So we're going to look at the different sections of the food label. We're going to learn to read the food label. We're going to begin at the ingredient list. We're going to look for the difference between whole and processed foods. We're going to actually look for sources of sweeteners and trans fats and other highly processed ingredients on that food label. And then we're going to learn to identify misleading information and symbols of food labels. So that's going to be fun as well. So we'll see a few in here. I've called out a few today to look at. And just so you know, a lot of these misleading claims, usually found on the front of the label, are really intended to create impulsive purchases, get you excited about it. You see healthy, you see natural, you see low fat, you see no sugar, you see all these things on the front that may not necessarily pan out when you actually read the food label. So let's dive in. Here's how our standard food labels might look. You're thinking, wait, Ethel, is this a typo? This isn't a food label. This is a template. Well, is it? Can you understand it? It says it's 100% natural orange juice. They've got ingredients listed there, but do you know what they are? Is that a short list or a long list? They tell me the three main nutrition facts they think I want to know: calories, fat, and protein. Is there any sugar in here? What about additives or preservatives? Is it mixed in with any other juice? I don't know, but guess what? You sure can recycle the carton. We know that much. We know that it expires in a year. We know that much. We know that it's a quarter of a liter. We know that much, but not telling me much about anything else. So let's look at a real food label. Here is one of my cheat snacks that I go to once in a blue moon. And the environmental working group that we talked about in previous weeks rates a lot of different organic foods and inorganic foods as well as products. And it's interesting that they have this down as slightly unhealthy. Interesting classification, right? The ingredients get high scores, but of course, because it's processed, it's, well, organic or not, it's not healthy for us. Let's look at the layout of this bag. As you can see here, you have blue corn with flaxseed tortilla chips. The first thing you see up nice and big, organic. You see that it's gluten-free, it has no preservatives. You see the weight of the bag, and then you see three labels. You have a gluten-free label, you have a non-GMO label, and then you have a USDA organic label. So right off the back, if you are buying based on just what's on the front, you're like, it's organic, it's got to be good for me. Well, let's look at the back. As you can see, the nutrition label is here, food label, and under the food label is an ingredient list. Typically, under the ingredient list, you see the place where it was manufactured or packaged, and then any health disclaimers, such as processed in a factory that produces tree nuts or milk or dairy or things like that. And then on the other side of the bag, it's just whatever information the manufacturer producer thinks you want to know. Notice how narrow the food label is. There's been some legislation. It hasn't, I don't think, really taken full effect because I don't see it fully yet, but have made the food labels a little bit larger and a little bit easier to read. But let's look at the traditional ones you're going to see in the market. And, I'll pause here before I flip screens to say, while there is value to spending more time in the aisles reading labels, you can save yourself a lot of time when you go to shop and read labels still by actually doing this research before you head to the market and doing this as a part of your market prep for the week. You can actually pull these labels up online. And then the only thing you're doing when you get to the store is validating that they're the same. You're going to save a lot more time in that store. So here we go. Again, they start with the actual nutrition label and then they go into the ingredients. Now, that's one way to look at a food label. But what we like to do in Fame, and we're going to go a little bit out of order based on the bag, is we're going to actually start with the ingredient list. This is what we care about the most right now. Okay. We care about what is in the product, this food stuff. The first ingredient on the label tells you the food item or additive or chemical that is in most abundant in this ingredient mixture. In this case, it's organic ground blue corn, followed by, get this, organic vegetable oil. And this is what I started seeing since the pandemic. Contains one or more of the following: organic sunflower, organic safflower, or organic canola oil. Can you say fat snack? Highly fat snack. And this is probably why the Environmental Working Group, EWG, has rated this as closer to not being healthy because it's already inflamed. It's already oxidized, what I like to say. The next ingredient is the organic flaxseed. You don't need too many of those, and sea salt. Like to see that at the end? Okay, so not bad. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 main ingredients in this concoction here, right? So anytime I start to see more than one type of oil, you probably want to steer away from that bag. All right. So looking at this, what whole food do you see? That is correct. You see organic ground blue corn. Everything else, and organic flaxseed is the other one. Everything else you see is processed. The oil, processed. Sea salt, well, it's just sea salt. It's not processed. So now you can say, I think I want to try this. So, all right, let me look at the label. The label says there's a total of 6 grams of fat. Now keep in mind, the serving size is 1 ounce and there's about 12 servings per container. Now, there are some chip bags that actually tell you how many chips this equates to. And if you look here, it says about 9 chips. Most of us eat probably double that when we sit down to snack on chips. So this one says about 9 chips is what it says over here. But they left it off the actual description. This is a snapshot from Target.com. That's supposed to be telling you exactly what's here over here, but they conveniently left that out. So a 1 ounce serving, 12 servings per container, and it's 140 calories per serving. So if there's 12 servings per container and 140 calories, do the math. 12 times 140. We're looking at over 12,000 calories for this. You don't believe me? Do the math. Where's my phone? Because some of y'all looking at me a little left here. We're going to do the math real quick. So we're going to do 12 times 140. 12 times. Yeah. If my phone works. Here we go. 1,680. That's why I was looking at me left side. 1,680 calories if you sat down and ate this whole bag of chips in front of a movie or something else. That's a lot of calories. Now, the cool thing is, as you know, in this program, we don't count calories. But when you're doing stuff like this, you need to count calories. All right. So 6 grams of fat, 80 milligrams of sodium, 0.5 saturated, 0 trans fat. It doesn't mean that there isn't any. It just didn't rise to the level of reporting it per serving. Polyunsaturated, mono. Let's lean into this dietary fiber. So when you see dietary fiber at 2 or less, it's a highly processed food. I don't care if it's organic or not. It's highly processed. So it's something you want to avoid because it's not fiber rich. There are no added sugars. There are no natural sugars. There's 2 grams of protein, 30 milligrams of calcium, zero point 0.6 of iron, no potassium. Here's the thing. If you, let's say, have high blood pressure and all you care about on a label is sodium because that's what your doctor said, you're going to go say, oh, sodium, 8 milligrams, low salt snack, I'm going to get this. But you're missing the fact that this is primarily a fat snack. Okay. So when you take this 6 grams of fat per serving and you multiply that times 12, 12 times 6, 6 times 2 is what? 72. That's 72 grams of fat. That's a lot. That's a lot. All right. So this is an example of one label. So let's share our screens and see what we have. So thank you for holding this up and thank you for sharing this screenshot. So what I understand you to say is that you like this option better than ramen noodles because it's a healthier pasta. Okay, why do you think this is healthy? Because they said it was plant-based. Okay, let's look at it. So the website says it's an emi noodle. It's surprisingly healthy, instantly ramen. Then it goes on to give us a comparison that, hey, it's less carbs, more protein, less sodium, more fiber, and it's plant-based. Let's see what they mean by that. Here's a random nutrition label. Well, they used pumpkin seed protein, wheat gluten, so probably not ideal if you have a gluten allergy, food starch modified, sustainable palm oil, wheat, and then it contains less than 2% of the following: yeast extract, soybean powder, black garlic powder, sea salt, natural flavors. Anytime you see this, there are hidden ingredients in there. If they can't define what this is, chances are it's not something you want to put inside your body. Onion powder, coconut milk powder, coconut milk powder, salt, sesame oil, spices, turmeric for color. Here we go with some inflammatory oils: safflower, sunflower, gum acacia, tricalcium phosphate, potassium chloride, calcium carbonate, maltodextrin, tapioca maltodextrin. This is supposed to be the healthier alternative to ramen noodles. Interesting. Interesting. But if you don't read this, first of all, did anybody see anything whole on here at all? Exactly. I didn't either. Everything on here is processed, but somehow this is healthier, than an actual green banana pasta, which is organic green bananas and water, or red lentil pasta noodles, which is red lentils and water on that label. Right? You get the pasta accomplishment. You can even get them that fine if you want. But this is what and so they're pushing. Let's look at this label on the front. They're pushing, but you're going to get 22 grams of protein and it's only 6 carbs, but at the detriment of your gut health, of your brain health. So you have 14 grams of fat. There's 1 serving per 1 package. Okay, so that's good. You don't have to do any math. You're getting a solid 14 grams of fat. 7 of those grams are saturated. Let's see, we don't know where the other 7 grams went, but 7 are saturated. So interesting that the other 7 are not presented here. It only shows trans fat. So you can assume that the other 7 grams are broken up between MUFAs and PUFAs. I always get concerned when labels don't include that. All right, we got 880 milligrams of sodium. Still not a good choice if someone has high blood pressure or high cholesterol, even for that matter. 24 carbs. There's 18 grams of dietary carbs. So this is on the higher end, but it's processed. And so because there are no whole food items in the ingredient list, Even though this is greater than 2, I would still ding this. I wouldn't count this as a healthy alternative to ramen noodles. I wouldn't. Let's look at the next label. So this one is probably a little bit more clear to see, but it takes the same approach. So they have ingredients: pea protein, sustainable palm oil. But by the way, this is a low grade inflammatory. Food starch modified. So this is basically corn repurposed as food starch modified. Where else do I see corn in here? Where we already see multi-dextrose, corn. This is all corn. So when you start to soy, and this is a soy, if it's not organic in the US, then it's GMO. So this food is they are definitely capturing the ramen noodle lovers market. But I agree with you. I don't know this is a great alternative, especially if you have health goals. So let's look at some one ingredient items. Let's see what we got. Wow. These are whole fruits and vegetables from Bread and Butter Farms right here in Sparta, Georgia. These are the plums harvested literally this weekend. I have some right here. They're so cute. I got some small ones. The big ones got sold before I got there. We got collards. We got daikon. We got carrots. We got golden beet, strawberries. We got eggs. One ingredient. Look at these labels for the food: carrots, beets, radish, shiitake, king oyster, gray oyster, mushrooms down here, trumpet mushrooms, mustard greens, golden beets, arugula, spinach. They got some dill up here. One ingredients. Let's look at my plate: lettuce, acorn squash, raspberry, blueberry, and blackberry. That's it. No other ingredients. I might have added some chia seeds or something. Okay. Again, sweet potato, chia seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds, all whole ingredients, carrot, avocado. All this is black eyed peas boiled down with some vegetable broth, cumin powder, onions and garlic, and a little salt, pepper, and ginger, most likely. Purple cabbage. This looks like baby spinach, a whole tomato, and this looks like couscous with flax seeds. But I think this might be amaranth. No, this is millet. This is millet with flax seeds. These are whole foods. There is no label for this because, well, it's a whole food out the ground. And so I want to thank you all for sharing your examples today. I just want to take a look to make sure if there's something else I wanted to talk to you about. We didn't do much about sweeteners today, but notice the shorter the list, the better. When it comes to those ingredient lists, that's where we want to start. I want you to pay attention to sweeteners, where sweeteners, they might have sugar, and then they might have inverted cane sugar, and then they might have some other sweetener. That adds up. It's still sugar at the end of the day. So even though they break it out so it looks like it's not a lot of sugar because you're looking for the word sugar, it's a sweetener. So when you add it up, you might have 3 or 4 different sweeteners in that recipe. And as you saw on this slide here, we have additives: calcium carbonate, maltodextrin. The one before it, look, calcium carbonate, all this. Like, for people with allergies, and I know people who have allergies, they can't even have some of this stuff in their food, but it's in there. All right. Notice none of these were fortified with vitamins or minerals at all, but you can look for that on labels. Did they strip it out only to add it back? Let's see what else I want to talk about with labels. I think that's the gist for labels today. If you have any questions, definitely reach out. Remember, there's a pulse survey for the end of this lesson. Let me know if this lesson invites you or entices you to participate in my Food as Medicine Everyday workshop happening this summer right here in Atlanta for the very first time in history. Thank you.